Welcome back, boils and ghouls. Have no fear, you're not lost. You're just off the beaten rack in another episode of the Indie Spotlight, the place where the indie creators do it right. Tonight, we're going to be talking about one of the most insane talents I've come across in a long time. Sam Blanchard AKA Shlepzig is just a maniac on the page. I mean, the guy is extremely prolific. I am extremely excited to look at what he's done. He has sent in some incredible stuff. I can't wait to show it all off to you. This is going to be a nice, long, deep dive, a look into his process, what he's done, everything that is out there from this guy. It's going to be an absolute treat, I promise. So, without further ado, let's kick off this episode of the Indie Spotlight, which I am dubbing the Shlepzig-Stravaganza. Let's head on over to the table and check it out. Tonight, we're going to be deep diving into Shlepzig. All right. Shlepzig is crazy. This guy is insanely prolific. As far as I know, he really started putting out stuff in 2020. Everything that we're going to look at here, okay, has been released since 2020. This guy is prolific and he's super talented. We're just going to go and we're going to start flipping through his stuff. I want to show you some of his sequential stuff. Then I'm going to show you some of his sketchbooks. And then we're going to look at some other really interesting stuff that I think shows a really good glimpse into his creative process. And I've even got some amazing original art to show off because he does create a great deal of his line work traditionally and then scan it in and do stuff, which I'm a big proponent of. If you're going to do digital, that's the way to do it. So this is the Shlepzig Collection Volume 1. Volume 2 is coming soon, I believe, but this is the COVID era. As far as I know, Shlepzig is like many of those in the independent comic community. Given the break during COVID, they took the opportunity to dive into self-publishing, or at least independent books, you know what I mean? Getting stuff out there. And I respect the heck out of this movement. There's been some amazing stuff, some amazing people that I've met. Eli Schwab is just a amazing guy. James Windsor Smith. An inordinate amount of guys. And Shlepzig is another one of those guys. One of the things that I appreciate most about the way that Shlepzig puts stuff together is that he has a wonderful knack for filling space and for also graphic design. He takes all of his old ads from his like $10 commissions back on Instagram and throws them onto just this opening like frontispiece. Another thing that I want to point out that I really appreciate about Shlepzig is how meticulous, intelligent, and like just downright fastidiously he approaches his work as far as the presentation. All of the information that you could ever want about anything in this anthology is on here. It's easy to go back to. The only thing that I would say is that I wish this did have page numbers. So this is, we're going to open with the Ringside Thology sessions. This is just a like jam session that Eli holds. And he busted out this amazing zombie story I'm a really big fan of. I apologize if I rush through a little bit of this art. It does have nudity, so I don't want to linger an extreme amount on some of it. This is some more of his Ringside Thology work. I'm not even gonna lie, I want to see more of Shadow Ice Strike. This is so enigmatic. The character is so crazy. It is awesome. There are like these walrus intruders coming to this, like, what I can only imagine is the base from The Thing, basically. And it's this Soviet cosmonaut from the first mission to Europa who mysteriously returned changed. And now when he punches people, he like turns them into fucking ice. It's crazy. Now, like I said, I think that a lot of his art is created on paper very, very energetically with line work and then put onto the computer and further refined. Some of this ringside thology stuff may just be pure digital. Some of this work may just be straight digital, period. I'm not sure. It's one of the things I'm really looking forward to getting into with him in the interview after this on Instagram. And if you guys enjoy this, do make sure that you stick around and check that out. If you missed the live, don't worry. I will have it archived on the channel as always. And another thing that I really love about his work, and it's one of the biggest things that I think he adds aside from color to his work in post, he doesn't really tighten a whole heck of a lot of stuff down. What he does is he adds these really wonderful scream tones and zipitones and stuff. I really, really like Shlepzig's work in that regard. We apparently have a lot of stuff in common just when it comes to our interest. Nobody remembers rank Xerox. I love rank Xerox. Unfortunately, you know, plenty of nudity in that one, so I don't want to linger too much on it. Great freaking piece. This is Chicken X. It's a pinup that he did, I believe, for it's a pinup that he did, I believe, for Why Did the Chicken Cross the Road. There's another one, 24-Hour Chicken, I believe is the name of it. But this guy keeps showing up. He's got some amazing action, dynamic. I love the feel of Schlubzig's art. There is something very much Jim Mahfood, Ashley Wood. I also see a great deal of like Daniel Warren Johnson at work in his line work and like the energy of what he's doing. But it's very heavily influenced, in my opinion, from what I can tell, by Jim Mahfood and from definitely Ashley Wood. Definitely is another huge, huge influence. This story, super fun in this book that I will get into here in a second, which is like the super wonderful treat that we get to go through tonight, which you're not even going to believe by the time we get to it, that that's the treat. We get to look at some other stuff in there that has to do with this story. You can see the like kind of quality, a little bit of stuff changes from like every few pages, right? Well, that's because it's still being refined. So, I am really looking forward to, I want a series. I want a series of this. I am 100% down, need more. Schlubzig has, as I said, a wonderful way of filling pages and knowing how to, you know, split stories so that you are looking at stuff instead of just starting the next story in the anthology. Okay, he chooses to put a pinup page there. Might seem frivolous, but when you turn the page, then you're immersed in his story from Weapon X. Just a great freaking, this is a really cool piece. Obviously, this was a fan tribute to Barry Windsor Smith and his work on Weapon X. I really want to see Shlepzig do the scene where Wolverine is like exploding out of the bodies of like, you know, just exploding out of this like sea of shredded corpses. I think Shlepzig is one of the few guys that could really take that image and make it his own and just crank that thing to another level. He provided the cover for Grand Disaster, which was the second part or compendium to Image Grand Design, which I talked a little bit about on the channel, but we will take a closer look at. This is just some really cool art. Unfortunately, I don't want to linger too much on it. It has a little bit of violence and nudity. I try not to mix the two for too long. But what's interesting is there's a lot of conceptual art in here as well. I like how Shlepzig shares his process and what he's doing, how he does it, how he gets there. The difference in his art as well is extraordinary. Like, he does have a very defined style, as it were. I feel like there's a lot of like tank girl freneticism. Like somehow Jamie Hewlett and a few other people, maybe James Heron, are really playing in here. I would be remiss if I didn't say a lot of times when I'm looking at stuff, especially like this, that I don't know if he didn't look at a lot of that really interesting like Trencher Lobo infanticide era of Keith Giffen. I see a lot of that going on here too. And I know I'm saying a lot of names, but Schlebzig is really original. I absolutely enjoy his stuff. He does have a wonderful knack for voluptuous women. I love this freaking one pager. He's got a bunch of really nice single page stories that are throughout here. They also showcase the absolute incredible variety of his art and the breadth of styles that he's capable of. Um, like look at this illustration, juxtaposed against one another, absolutely gorgeous. And again, paying very close attention that when you are putting these two pages here, which are one page stories, you're moving directly into the next ongoing story. You're presented with the cover image, as it were, and then put into the story just like you would be in an actual comic were it printed in a traditional form, not inside of an anthology collection. Absolutely bravo, sir. I wanted to point that out over and over again because I really respect it. Like, look at this art. It's very gray tone. It's got a lot of zipatone, screen and zipatone work in it. A lot of that stuff is actually just held with screen tone and zipatone, but it's not muddy or difficult to view. He has a very good grasp of how to present pages and the narrative flow of a story. The thing that's interesting and the thing that I like a lot about the fact that he did put out a collection of this, what appears to be his initial like foray entrance into the medium, at least in earnest, is that you get to see him really growing and evolving his own visual lexicon, refining his approach to things, learning how pages work, toying with dynamics. This is a story called The Rotted that he did with another person, Chris Jerome. And this is absolutely, just beautiful to look at. I really enjoyed the writing. It was very enigmatic and Lovecraftian, but I really enjoyed it. It also, again, I just, look at the variance in art here. Yes, it is very Schlubzig, but the color usage is different. The composition is absolutely different. There's something timeless. It reminds me of a approach that you might see in the 80s and stuff. I really appreciated it. There's just absolutely some insane pinups, one page illustrations and stuff that he's done. This is a lot of one page stuff as far as I know. And then we get into, this is his warm up called, I think it's Mystical Turtles, a Mystical Turtle Adventure. And this is his warm up for his 24-hour comic book. And we're going to look at the 24-hour comic book next. I really enjoyed this. The art was very, obviously, it's straight from the brain. It is absolutely shooting off of the hip, but it works. A lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles parodies miss with me. I grew up in that era. I've seen so many of them. I loved it. And I am also happy to say that he is obsessed with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, at least April O'Neil. That's one thing I should point out. A big part of Schlepzig's art, obviously, as we go through here, is sexuality in the sense of like beautiful, voluptuous women, which is where I think a lot of that Mahfood and that Ashley Wood influence is showing through. I'm normally not into adult stuff. I'm not. To be blunt, I'm not sexually, interested or aroused by art. But if it is a beautiful image, another guy and somebody I did not mention is Bill Sienkiewicz, and I see a lot of Bill Sienkiewicz in this stuff. Just his approach to the female form and the way that stuff is laid out, his faces, that kind of thing. It doesn't feel like objectification, like a lot of guys who draw just the female form in ways that don't necessarily appeal to me. And I think that says a lot about Schlubzig, because there's a lot of sexuality in his stuff, and I think it could be taken that way. A lot like James Edward Clark, actually, in fact, and which brings us to the fact we do get a 3-page preview of his work for the upcoming Tales to Enlighten, which I hope you backed on Kickstarter, because I cannot wait to read it when it comes out. I love this pinup. So, we're moving to the back here. This is the other one that I really wanted to show off. Poetry of Man, Part 1. It's the first part of, it's like, I think 3 pages. Oh, it's only 2 pages. It's only 2 pages, but it's a collaboration with another guy, and the other dude is writing it. And I'm hoping that we see this book. This is absolutely some of the best work that I've seen from Schlubzig. It's just unique, iconic, but it also evokes all of those wonderful things like Jim Mahfood, and maybe some Paul Pope is going on in here with the line work. It's very interesting. I hope we get to see more of Poetry of Man. And then we finish off with a collection of old ads, milestones for his Instagram page. This is really nice. Everybody should do this. He makes an ad page for himself in the back. It talks about who he is, what he wants to do. It's got all of his links. It tells you what am I up to? This is what I'm working on. You can follow me on Amazon On Demand. You can follow me on Kickstarter. You can buy my stuff through Etsy, and you can also get in on commissions. And here's the commissions queue. I mean, he has a commissions queued, guys. Like, the guy's got his stuff together, right? So if I wasn't impressed enough by the collection itself, he also sent along Red, and Red is his 2020 free comic book day 24-hour comic book. He was absolutely so generous. He sent along, I believe, 7 copies of this, all signed, for me to give away on the channel to you guys, and I am so excited that he did, because this book is utterly astounding. We see, again, we've got that nice ad, all that information right here presented to us, given to us, right up front. And the printing on that is extremely bright. It's on this glossy paper. And then we get over to this luscious, I mean delicious, perfect newsprint. I have seen innumerable people do newsprint. This is it right here. I have to know who did this comic for Schlubzig, what this paper is, how this came about. When I do a comic book, when I do a magazine, this is what I want it to look like. Oh my God. Now, on top of that, the art is absolutely gorgeous. This literally is like going back to the future. This is 1987, 1988 for me, reading those wonderful underground comics with limited color printing and all of this nice zipatone work and all of these interesting, just gorgeous usages of limited color printing. I mean, this book is an absolute masterclass, but that's what kind of sets it apart. It's a little bit ahead of that. The Schlepzig's way of laying out pages, his pacing, his narrative storytelling, his voice, the way that he writes, it's all shows the evolution of the medium that's taken place since that initial underground explosion. And the most insanely cool thing to me about starting up the indie spotlight series again and doing these off the beaten rack episodes about true independent creators is seeing how these guys have taken everything that I saw as great and wonderful and powerful and important about that movement and built on it and just made it. Reading books this professional from independent comics back in the 80s that looked like this was few and far between. This is a wonderful comic book. The fact that it is a 24-hour comic book is kind of astounding to me. It's insanely beautiful to look at. I really like a lot of the composition, the characters. I really want to get into talking to him about his preparation for this. He did a mystical, Turtle's Tale story in preparation for this, and I want to know what else he did to get ready for this, because this is impressive. I would really love to see more stuff like this from Shlepzig, fully assembled books, limited color palettes, limited color printing. Like, this is absolutely insanely gorgeous. And guys, like I said, he was incredibly generous and sent along copies of this, as well as a copy of the collection, Volume 1, that I'll be giving away in the Instagram live interview after this airs. So this book, I don't really want to get into the story because we've got so much stuff to look at that we're just going to get mired down if I try to do that. But I want to tell you guys, it was an engrossing tale to know that this was a 24-hour comic. I'm impressed by. I want to know if this was written in 24 hours or if this is something that he kind of prepped and prepared for and went into weaponized for, because this book reads absolutely astoundingly. Look at the way that this comes out. And interestingly, because I had all these questions, they lay out that Shlepzig explains that this really wasn't done in 24 hours. The initial effort basically was done in about 30 hours, but that it ended up through a Kickstarter project getting refined and built down to the format that you see in front of you. It's pretty crazy to know that really this really was kind of stream of consciousness from what I can tell, but I do kind of want to know exactly how much time he's got into this, because I get the feeling most of this really was laid out in basically about 30 hours, and that he spent a lot of the time going back and fixing. He talks about grammatical errors and upsizing the size and a couple other things. But I really want to get into talking to him about this story, because I want more freaking comic books that look like this so bad. Before we get into the rest of his comic book work, because I have something really incredibly cool to share with you guys. As I mentioned, Shlepzig is an incredibly prolific guy, man. There is no other way of explaining it. And he was kind enough to send along copies of all of his sketchbooks. Now, these sketchbook collections are deceptively called sketchbooks. They are basically fully finished color pieces, front to back. These things are monstrous, man. We're going to do a little bit of a flip through, but I wanted to show you guys. His pieces are basically that are presented in here many times are commissions. I know that this piece is probably going to show up in a later art book. This is a piece that he did for me of Uncle Jerk. This is going to be the Read Independent Comics. Well, one of the Read Independent Comic shirts. I just need to get a nice big Shlepzig stamp on there. And then the other one he did for me was this absolutely incredible Max piece. This is one of the best Julies. This is not to detract from the Max, which I absolutely love, but I am saying this is one of the best Julie pieces I've ever seen. I am absolutely in love with this thing. I'm gonna have to end up eventually getting another commission from him that is just Julie and the Leopard Queen, because his his mastery of the female form will become apparent before too long. I want to go through as much of this stuff as we possibly can, time allowing. This is his fan art sketchbook. This came out in 2021. One of the characters that you're going to see pop up a lot actually is Magic. I freaking love his take on Magic. It is absolutely incredible. Not many people can nail it. His Wonder Woman, also freaking fantastic. He's got some great recreations in here. As I said, a lot of these are commissions that he did for people. So you're going to see, like, I believe this is based on Tim Sale, that kind of thing. And you get to see, I love this piece. He's got away with Hitmonkey too. He sent along some prints that I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to have to show them, I think, long ways because they're monstrous. But there's a wonderful monkey print, Hitmonkey print. Yeah, here's the first spate of Magic images. He has an absolute way with Magic. I've seen a couple of guys. Bing Fuchsius is another guy who just murders Magic every time he touches her. And Schlubzig, fantastic renderings of Magic. Some of my favorites I've ever seen. He also does a lot of Octobriana imagery. This is actually the Hitmonkey print that he sent me. Yeah, this is a gorgeous piece. I really love his use of limited color. Very, very intelligent with it, my opinion. This is the kind of stuff where I think you can really see the like Mahfood influence as well. And maybe there's some Alexis Zerrett going on in here. Now that I look at the line work, I look at the freneticism and the energy of those brush work on a lot of this stuff. But his female form, I do have to admit, Shlepzig just has a way with it, man. New Mutant, I really like this pinup. This is evocative of everything about the Sienkiewicz version of New Mutants that I absolutely fell in love with. The only thing that would be better if it was just splashed with disgusting color. The Moon Knight, love this Moon Knight. Again, with the limited color of the gold there. Cover to Weapon Ek, that collection we were talking about and got to look at the stuff from. He's got, little stuff that he did. Love this Max piece. He did send along an extra print of the Max here that will be available for the William Mesner Loeb sale. I can't thank him enough for that. Just an incredibly generous guy. Lobster Johnson, just great stuff, guys. I could go through and talk rank Xerox, man. I mean, yes. We are firing on Octobriana. Octobriana is like one of those characters nobody talked about until Rugg did that piece, and now it's cool to see Octobriana really back in the forefront. That was one of those weird underground comics, those like kind of a urban legend almost, until you saw a copy of it and you're like, whoa, that exists. It's crazy. But what's the story behind the creation of Octobriana? And this is the one that I really wanted to find. Space Ghost. He killed this. This is one of my favorite Space Ghosts I've ever seen. And he was also generous enough to send along a print of that. I love his skeleton. Like, dude, the only thing that was better, the only thing that could have been better, I like flipped the page and I was hoping to see the Burt Reynolds pose with Skeletor. Like, like, Sam, if you're watching this, bud, like, you need to do the full-on Burt Reynolds Playgirl version of Skeletor. All right, dude? This is an ad for this Yojo June, and this stuff was really freaking cool. There's just the way he plays with stuff, and I know it seems like hypersexualized in a lot of respects, but I think that there's like stuff going on where he's not just obsessed with like, oh, let's make women into sex objects and stuff. You know, he's obsessed with that form and playing with it and toying with it and bending it. It's interesting to me. I'm usually not extremely drawn to people that are, you know, that predisposed to drawing just voluptuous women. Sam does everything freaking right. And I apologize. His name is Sam Blanchard, I believe, and his pen name is Shlepzig. So I'll try to remember to refer to him as Shlepzig just to keep it simple for you guys. But it is Sam. So you know, everybody named Sam seems to be an amazing artist. Maybe if my parents had called me Sam, I would have been better off. So Call Me Chicken is the story that I was talking about that I was hoping to see more of. I had missed that ad in the back coming in 2022. I hope we are going to see that soon. We'll talk about those in 2 seconds. I want to do, okay, so he's got so many sketchbooks. These things are just absolutely insane. This is his anime fan art book. I am not an inordinately huge fan of like all of anime. I grew up on a lot of like imported anime, but not necessarily on a steady diet of what people are into anime now. The imagery in this book, I mean, he calls back to all the right stuff, everything I've actually heard of and give a crap about for the most part. I really, really enjoyed his takes on some of these characters. And I didn't know who some of the, now is rare, obviously, as you know, we go through, it's like, I knew who most of these characters were, some of them I did not. So it was interesting to see his take on them, but man, he really, really cranks it up in this book. Like his Eon Flux, that is so crazy awesome. His hatch marking, man, is just absolutely next level. I am in love with his hatch marking. His also, I just love the way that he utilizes digital art when he does like those transparent holding lines are great. Amazing freaking piece there. His flow of design is just absolute, seems to be like freedom of consciousness, and it's really cool to see him translate that onto the page. Really great take on Chainsaw Head Man. I think that's his name, Chainsaw Head Man. Maybe it's just Chainsaw Man. Yeah, also, you know, obviously, it's anime, so there's gonna be plenty of hot women. This made me want to see way more like turtles from him though. Like his Usagi Yojimbo or Usagi Yojimbo. I'm sorry, I've been saying it wrong for 40 years. It's hard for me. Usagi Yojimbo was really, really cool. Like I said, I wish we could spend more time, you know, just lingering on these things, but there's so many of them. This is girls. You know, a lot of this stuff we can't really show a ton of, but we're going to flip through really quick anyway, because this thing is freaking absolutely amazing. And the thing that I like most about this is that it shows off a lot more of the variety of his art. It's got some more compositional stuff in it as well. A lot of sketches, just studies, looks. It's not objectification, in my opinion. I really liked this book. I wish I could linger on it more because it is not what I consider to be explicit, but I think some people might take, you know, whatever, get pissy about some of the stuff in here because they're idiots. His usage of the female form, again, is like much like I see Ashley Wood, Adam Hughes. I would also say Adam Hughes to a much lesser extent, as I do feel kind of lecherous every once in a while looking at Hughes's work, especially lately. He seems to be descending into crumb level territory with a lot of his illustrations, a thing which I can never say that a thing which I cannot say I ever felt was the case for Shlepzig. And that's his explicit, book. There's like 3 images in there that are fairly explicit. These are the really cool ones I think a lot of people are going to get a kick out of. This is 30 Days of April O'Neil, 2021 and 2022. This is exactly what it sounds like. It is 30 days of drawing April O'Neil with all of these different like spins and different takes on her. It's very, very interesting stuff. He like mashes her up. He does abstractions. He does his own like kind of take on her as a character. Everything imaginable that you can think of with April O'Neil, he's going to toy with. I really like the variance in the style. Again, I feel like there's very little filter that's going on between his brain and what's going on the page in the very best sense. Oh man, that's such a great freaking turtle. I wish he would do 30 Days of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I wish he would do TMNT Tober. Just do Turtles. Hell, I don't care. Just do 30 days of like Raphael. It would be amazing. So, I mean, look at I don't know. There's something about the way he is able to abstract the image of the Turtles that reminds me so much of those original, like maybe 5 or 6 issues. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I want to see more. I also really like his take on like Bebop, Cowboy Bebop, Bebop and Rocksteady. Just wonderful stuff, man. Casey Jones looking absolutely demonic there too. By the way, dude, like just crazy. Love the posing on Splinter there. The dynamism, the movement that's going on in Shlepzig's work is, I think, a result of that, bam, exploding the idea onto the page and then really being able to toy and refine it. Can you imagine seeing a TMNT book like that? Because I freaking can. I would buy the hell out of that book. There's a lot of like fan and like unlicensed books that come out lately. I would not mind seeing a TMNT book from freaking Shlepzig, man. Just look at some of this work. It's absolutely psychotically amazing, dude. He also does this thing where he teams her up, I think, with Afro Samurai, which is really cool. Look at these images. I mean, they're the perfect distillation. Like they've got like an almost Sam Keith style abstraction going on, but they've also got that like I think it was the Nickelodeon reboot that everybody loved so much, that did so well for so long, that kind of new design. I am very taken with Shlepzig's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I would love to see him do a 24 or a red style 24-hour comic for the TMNT. I would be down like a clown. So this is the next volume, rocking and rolling, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, this second one, this has got some, and like, look at this. He just kills that Sienkiewicz like it's totally Shlepzig, but you can totally see Sienkiewicz bleeding through there. I am taken by this man's work in a way that few other people, manage to captivate me. I won't lie. Little bit obsessed at this point. I had seen a good deal of his work, but after he sent me this, like, just truckload of stuff, I am beyond impressed. There's some really great stuff in this second volume. I think the first volume, by and large, was a little bit better compositional wise as far as like experimentation, but I see a lot more refinement in this second volume. You can see a lot more pull. Each page is a pinup. It's more refined. There's less sketching going on. I'm not saying that's necessarily better or worse, but I think it's showing the evolution of Shlepzig that's happening so quickly because the guy's just so freaking prolific. He just keeps putting stuff out and just killing it, man. I think the April O'Neil and the Kill Bill outfit is like super sweet too. That was a clever play. And there's just some stuff here that's just so freaking dynamic. It's absolutely insane to look at. And speaking of insane to look at, this is the real treat that he sent along for us. This is a collection of everything that he's put out, okay? And this is a collection of all of the stories that he has done that have been released in anthologies that were out of print that he didn't have to send me. This was absolutely incredible. What's really interesting about this is, obviously, super stoked to see Maladjusted Adult Commando Chicken, aka Why Did the Chicken Cross the Road, pop up. But there's some refinement, I think, going on. There's rough pages of the layouts where you can see, like, he's still working stuff out. My favorite thing about this package that he sent me was not just that I got a complete look at, what he was doing and stuff, but that I got a look at what was going on with his art as it progresses, how he works on it, how he approaches it, how he produces the actual work. And the way that he does that is very much he'll like lay out a page. I think he roughs stuff out, lays out a page, and then later on we'll actually get to see some unfinished pages throughout their entire process. And like I said, I brought up Keith Giffen before, and I had totally forgotten about this actually, but this is the Trencher series that I was talking about, that Keith Giffen is so well known for, that like insane, erratic, just line-based barrage of insanity that he delivered to Image in the early 90s. This is a really cool collection of stuff. I wish we had more time to talk, more in depth about this stuff, but there is just such an absolute breadth of material here that if I really started getting into everything, we would be here for 2 or 3 hours. If everybody enjoys this episode and you want to see a deeper dive, I would love to throw this specifically under the microscope. If you guys on the channel don't request it, I might end up doing it as a Patreon video. This is where we get into the layouts that I was talking about. You can see the roughs as he lays stuff in. He's got like everything from like super roughs to tightened up stuff to where he's doing like what I see him do a lot of times is he'll gray shape stuff out and then go in and just start like precision lining that. It's a very interesting take on like maybe the blue line process, but taken to the next evolutionary step. This is the one that's definitely really, really interesting. I'm super glad he sent it along because it shows like the progression of his page, how he builds stuff. We've got inked stuff, we've got roughs, we've got straight layouts throughout here. Everything is still roughed out, but you've got your lettering in here. So he's working in that old EC style of having pages, very much planned out, I think, and then laying out a lot of the dialogue and stuff with the images as he goes along. Some of them, he doesn't even have that for. but a lot of times he'll have that there, which gives me an idea that either he has he's trying to work up that image, or he has something that's even rougher than the pencils that we're seeing right here. And this is really, really interesting. Really interesting to see his process working through refinement, how he lays out a page. This is super cool. This is a page of, you can tell it's his pencils before he goes in. I assume this is probably about as tight as he gets with his pencils, judging from a lot of this stuff, because this is like his roughs, and this is more of that gray shaping that I'm talking about. He'll throw up shapes, then he goes in, he tosses in the lines to tell himself what exactly is going on. And so this is like the rough pencils. This is the roughest, you know what I'm saying? I see him do layouts, rough, tighten, and then ink. And it's really fun. I mean, we have a whole page basically that's laid out here in this 6-panel grid. And I don't know if this is the final layout or if it has room for change or whatever, but it's really, this is what I live to see. You do not get to see this for independent, artists. This is not stuff that gets collected in trade paperbacks or put in the back of comic books for those guys. Thank you so much for sending this. Again, guys, if you want to take a deeper dive into this thing, I would love to take a deeper look and show you guys a little bit more of the process, the refinement, what's going on in here. Just get in the comments section below. Let me know, sound off, and we will definitely get something done. This is some really cool stuff. The limited color palette that Shlepzig works in, I am a sucker for. I grew up on 3 and 4 limited color palette publications, Foom, that kind of thing, I know it drove a lot of people crazy, but I absolutely loved it, and he really uses it to his advantage in the case of his own work. Yeah, unfortunately we can't look at the Sergeant Kabuki Man comic book. Apparently Trauma's put a little interest in there, but definitely cannot be showing that one on the YouTube channel, or else we're gonna get demonetized and reported. I love this image, man. Just love this image. Again, with the limited color palettes, this is how you use traditional and digital art. You pull stuff in, you really get inventive with it. I'm not saying that you need to go vintage with it, but I'm saying use it for practical purposes. And I love the fact, he can switch his color palettes just on a freaking whim. Suits the pages. It tells you the story of what's going on as far as tone and that kind of thing. Some really great previews of stuff coming up, 1-page stories. Yeah. I mean, his usage of blues on these screen tones, super cool, because basically this is single color. You can get away, I think, with single color on grayscale with this. It's just some great stuff. This is also, I think, one of my favorite stories of his as far as narrative storytelling goes. You get My Name is Death. You get a really good view of Shlepzig again in that comic book, true comic book format of getting to show off his page layouts, his composition, storytelling ability. The layout on some of these pages is absolutely gorgeous. If we don't get to see Shlepzig on some books here in the next 3 to 4 years, it's a travesty against man. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This is some incredibly cool stuff. So we're getting back to I think it's really cool if you look at this version of it. as opposed to this version of it. And it just adds a lot. I also see, obviously he's like changing up panels. He does a little bit of stuff on like revising characters and making them a little bit more interesting for him to draw. But dude, I am looking forward to this book. I cannot wait till this comes out. It looks like a ridiculous amount of fun. This was one of my freaking absolute favorites. I mean, he just nails like the form. I really appreciated not only this, the illustration here, but just the idea behind it. Really good stuff. Like I said, he also sent in a stack of prints. He also sent in, he does a ton of stickers, guys. So if you are into like Shlepzig's art and you guys want stickers, let me tell you, he has got every shape and size. He's got you covered, man. And he's super cool guy. I cannot recommend that you guys support him as an artist enough. Just a really nice guy, and I would be surprised if we don't see more from Shlepzig in the near future. He's got a couple of series of prints that are out as well. These are the Ninja Nuns series of prints. Obviously, just some great stuff in here. A few of these images, we did see. These are really well printed. There's also some stuff that I didn't see anywhere else. That Lobster Johnson, I love that piece. Oh, that great Boba Fett. I really want to see him do a Scud the Disposable Assassin, actually. And then, we got this really cool backer piece. And this is like right here. This is why I say I see a lot of Ashley Wood going on, man. Like that just seems like very Ashley Wood to me. Now, a few of these images we did see in the sketchbooks, but we've got this gorgeous. So this is just to show off the quality of his prints and stuff. This is a gorgeous Cowboy Bebop. We've got a couple of cool original creations. Then we got, Moon Knight piece. This was absolutely gorgeous. And I was so stoked that he tossed in a Space Ghost. These are super cheap, really well priced. They're all hand numbered. And they're really well printed. The cardstock that they're on, very well suited to what they are. Extremely well reproduced. If you're also, I do want to mention, he mentioned his commission queue, and I've talked a little bit about how just absolutely mind-bogglingly easy to deal with and pleasant the guy is, and how much he's got his game together. Guys, look at this original art. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful stuff. I know his commission list is open right now. Get a hold of him. His rates are beyond reasonable. Okay, I just look at that, Julie. Just look at that. And this is one of my favorite Uncle Jerk pieces that I have. I mean, this piece is absolutely incredible. I can't thank him enough. And if that's not enough, Shlepzig even colored them up for me and sent me transparent PNG files to use. I mean, the guy is just, I don't even know what else to say about him. It is so rare to deal with guys that nice who have their game together that much. So, we'll flip through some of these prints. Some of this stuff we've seen, some of it we haven't. Here's one of that Hit Monkey. Really liked this. I think that might be I Kill Giants, but maybe it's just an original thing. This is one of those Ashley Wood. Definitely, you can see like Ashley Wood in these pieces. It's not just like the portrayal of the female form, but it's also like the posing and the way the stuff's presented. I love these Octobriana pieces, man. Like I said, been into October on it for a really long time. It's really cool. He's got some single page like stories that are actual like prints. So you can get limited color, like these gorgeous prints that go up on your wall. And you not only have a full comic, but you also have a awesome piece of art on your wall. This is like yeah, some of his one page stuff. Really great. This Chadwick Boseman piece was I just thought this was beautiful. I really, really did. I just am very taken with that image. His work with motorcycles is damned impressive, if I do say so myself. He draws a damn fine motorcycle. Again, Octobriana, love that character. But the motorcycle, just the way he's like able to render some of that stuff is pretty danged impressive. I was pretty excited. I liked that I got a chicken, and I actually got a second one, so I can give one of these away. And this is the max print that is going to be part of the William Messner Loeb sale. Can't thank him enough for sending me one along because I needed one. Great magic print. All of his magic prints, I think, are just absolutely dynamite. He has a just affinity for the character. And then one of my favorites, also the cover to Weapon X that he did. Now, guys, he's got an incredible amount of stuff out. He's got more stuff in the works. I cannot wait to talk to him in the interview and find out more about what he has got planned for in the future. If you guys do want a deeper look at Shlepzig and his work, his process, I would love to go through this process book more, maybe even have him on and, you know, go through it with him and talk a little bit about it, because this is really cool. So I really want to thank Shlepzig, you know, just for going above and beyond, sending in all this amazing stuff. For all of you guys that are serious about your work, that really want to get your stuff out there, that are getting your game together, that have books, that want to be featured on the channel, this is the kind of stuff that I love to see, because it does let me, you know, dig deeper into what you're doing, get more excited, you know, show off what you've got coming up, what you've done, the breadth of everything that you're capable of, and being able to show off stuff like the process pages here are really, really historically invaluable to me as a comic book historian. So I wanted to thank Sam Blanchard AKA Shlepzig so much for this. I also want to thank James. I also want to thank James Windsor Smith for setting up this interview. Just an incredible friend of the channel, incredible friend in general. Thank you guys so much. And as always, I'll have links to all of Shlepzig's stuff in the description below. Make sure you check it out. And if you liked this, if you want to learn more, make sure you join us after this video on Instagram for a live interview. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. Hope you all enjoyed, maybe even saw something that you would like to buy. Remember, if you would like to have your stuff featured on the channel, just get in the About section, use the email there, get on Instagram, drop me a direct message there, hit me up on Facebook, any way you want. If you did enjoy what you saw, make sure you hit that like button. Think about getting in the comment section below and letting me know if you really enjoyed what you saw. Make sure you Hulk smash that subscribe button. If you do that, make sure you ding the little notification bell so you never miss another video or premiere. Again, if you feel like you're in a position to help the channel grow, think about using the link in the description below to sign up for my Patreon page. For as little as $3 a month, you get access to tons of behind the scenes posts, updates, exclusive content like uncut interviews, and you can even get your name in the credits. If you want to support the channel, but Patreon is not your thing, have no fear. You can finally sign up for membership right here on YouTube. Just hit the little join button and make sure to select the tier and the perks that fit you best. If that's not enough, you can also make one-time donations towards specific goals or just tip the channel using the Ko-Fi link in the description below. And you can even pick up your very own JerkComic shirts like the ones you see on the screen now. As always, this video was brought to you by the Jerk Broadcasting Service, as well as generous grants from the Patreon, Ko-Fi, and YouTube members you see on the screen now. I seriously want to thank every single one of you that supports the channel and helps make these videos possible, with a super special thanks to my loyal Wednesday Warriors, Channel 10, Chasen, Clinton Salvini, and Mike Dolan. I really hope the quality and content is getting better, and I can't wait to see where this next year takes us with your continued support. Thank you again for helping this crazy dream of mine become a reality, and for sticking with me. I hope you all enjoyed, maybe even learned something, and as always, I really, truly, and honestly ask only two things. Keep it in those local shops, and keep reading comics.